retirement in terms of ministry really isn't in the Bible. For the days that the Lord has us here on this earth, we have work to do for Him, not necessarily just for ourselves and our own glory and our own purposes. We always have work to do for the Lord, and He was a wonderful embodiment of that.
Conservative radio talk show host Steve Days also worked for Dr. Dobson and summed up the pastor's approach.
God is or He isn't. And that's essentially what Dr. Dobson made his ministry about throughout his career. And for people that are younger and don't know, he had a very successful ministry as kind of the boomer era counter to Dr. Spock with biblical insights on marriage and parenting.
The illegal alien who killed 3 people on a Florida highway is on his way back to Florida from California. Here's Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
He will arrive in Florida today, and he will get the book thrown at him very shortly after that, I can guarantee you. So stay tuned. You're going to be able to hear more for that. But how ridiculous is it that somebody would get a commercial driver's license who doesn't understand the language of this country? And yet he's getting these commercial licenses from these sanctuary states.
Vice President J.D. Vance paying a visit to National Guard soldiers stationed at Union Station in Washington, D.C. Wednesday, accompanied by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller. The soldiers being stationed as part of the Trump administration's efforts to crack down on crime in the nation's capital.
If you just take control of these cities, you can make them safe places to live in.
So your pal Gavin Newsom calls this an abuse of power, that this is just a power grab, and this is all stunt for show, and that you all are going to roll through other cities. You've heard things about, martial law is going to be declared.
Yep.
And to that you say?
Well, first of all, how is it a power grab or how is it a stunt when we've already declined murders by 35% in 9 days? How many people are living and breathing today because Donald Trump had the willpower to say, you know what, we're sick of D.C. being a home to lawlessness. We're going to bring some public order back to the nation's capital.
The medical advocacy group says a pro-LGBTQ group is doing a disservice with its so-called equality index.
Do No Harm says the Human Rights Campaign, or the HRC, infects pediatric hospitals with gender ideology. It further says HRC is pressuring children's hospitals into performing pediatric transgender procedures. Dr. Kurt Maselli is medical director for Do No Harm. He said the HRC has done this under the guise of claiming expertise in such areas,
which it has really no medical standing to make any such claim. And they've done this through a healthcare equality index, which is really a scorecard that measures a hospital and how well it is adhering to some core tenets of gender ideology. And it pushes this to hospitals to adopt it, to practice it, so they can achieve these high scores.
Maselli said, frankly, a hospital really should want nothing to do with the index itself, and certainly nothing to do with the top score.
Yet, about 75% of the more than 1,000 facilities in 2024 that actually completed the Healthcare Quality Index, 75% of them either received a top award or a runner-up, which pretty much says that they're doing what the Human Rights Campaign has said in terms of gender-affirming care, and this includes for kids.
He said helping kids with problems such as gender dysphoria should be the priority for hospitals.
This is far from what is really needed in pediatric hospitals. Hospitals need to focus on caring for kids, especially kids that have gender dysphoria, and look for ways that are therapeutic in terms of psychotherapeutic options, not putting kids on a train of puberty blockers, hormones, and an operation.
I'm Bronson Woodruff.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
Some would say truth is relative, and to the world, that's right. What the world considers to be truth fluctuates depending on the narrative they're trying to promote. Of course, we know truth is found in Scripture, and it never changes. The documentary, The God Who Speaks, proves the Bible's reliability as the source of real truth and reinforces our belief in it as our firm foundation. Watch it anytime at stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network for this Thursday, August the 21st, 2025. Thank you for listening to AFR. A lot to talk about today, and joining me in studio is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
Wesley Wildmon, good morning.
Good morning, filling in.
Filling in for
Ray Pritchard.
Ray Pritchard.
Yeah.
Those are some size 13 shoes you got to fill
probably
right
shouldn't
there.
have said that then. I take that back. I'm just here hanging out.
We expect, your theological training to come out like a Ray's would if he were here. Good morning, Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you.
Okay, let me tell you, folks, we have scheduled an interview an hour from now with Ambassador Mike Huckabee, the U.S. Ambassador to Israel. So I say scheduled because you know how these ambassador people are. They'll cancel on you because they got something, quote, more important to do, end quote.
Now, he's there, though, right?
Yeah,
he lives there.
Yeah. He does, yeah. He's in Jerusalem. I think he's over there now. I don't think he's back in the States, but we look forward to visiting with Mike Huckabee coming up an hour from now. Well, some sad news to report, and that is that Dr. James Dobson, the legendary radio broadcaster and ministry founder of Focus on the Family, many of our listeners right now, grew up on, so to speak, on Dr. Dobson's Focus on the Family program, immensely popular back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, through that era. And one gentleman that worked for Dr. Dobson closely is our own Dr. Alex McFarland, co-host of Exploring the Word. He heard each afternoon here on AFR, and he's with us now. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing?
Are you speaking at Charlie Kirk's event sometime today, or?
Actually, Charlie Kirk is speaking at our event tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. We've been doing, in addition to our youth camps, a speaker series on biblical worldview, and we had Gary Chapman and Lauren Green. But tonight, in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, is Charlie Kirk, and so we're setting up for that event tonight. And I got a call, not completely unexpected, but the passing of my former boss and in many ways mentor, James Dobson. One of his staff called me last week and said, please pray, Dr. Dobson is not well. But,
he was 89, right? 89 years old?
89 years old, yes.
Yeah. And still living in Colorado Springs, I guess?
He's still living in Colorado Springs, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know, how long did you work there at Focus on the Family for Dr. Dobson?
A total of 8 years.
And what was your interaction and role there? Interaction with him and your role?
I went in as director of teen apologetics, and the day I walked in the door had budget to work with and some staff. It was amazing. We had done a lot of things back on the East Coast, and Christianity Today did a little tiny piece on what I was doing with youth and biblical worldview. And I got a call from H.B. London, his cousin, and the VP of Focus on the Family in 2003, so 22 years ago. And he said, hey, we know who you are. We're looking for some youth apologetics. May my cousin, Jim Dobson, give you a call? And I was like, sure. And so Dr. Dobson called me up, and he said, I'm going to cut to the chase. I want you to bring your circus under our tent. And 2.5 months later, my wife and I were living in Colorado Springs, and, it was fantastic. He was brilliant. He was godly. And but I want to say, Tim, much like your father, in the 1970s, God raised up some leaders to help save the nation, and one of whom was Don Wildmon, Charles Colson, Phyllis Schlafly, I would say Adrian Rogers, Bill Bright, but also James C. Dobson. And let me just say that his homegoing is just a reminder for those of us left behind that we must carry the torch, preserve the legacy and keep on proclaiming truth to our world. But I would say seriously, and it was my extreme privilege to work with him and work for him and be involved in things like the Truth Project and so many radio shows. And I would say, Tim, when you and I met, I think it was in 2009, but the work I did with Dr. Dobson really groomed and prepared me for the role that I would be so privileged to play with AFA. But Dobson was...
his radio program that he started, Focus on the Family, was at one time the most listened to talk show or radio program, period, in all of Christian radio. That would have been in the 80s and 90s probably. And then but he also had that radio program, Focus on the Family, during that era was probably a top 5 program, period, not just in Christian radio.
Yeah. I think Rush Limbaugh at his peak was on like 660 stations, and there was a time when Dobson was on 2,000 stations. I mean,
he's a member
Rush
of the
Limbaugh
Radio Hall of Fame.
We will be.
I'm looking
day.
at.
We will be one day.
You and I. Will not.
Don't you?
I'm
think?
not holding my breath.
Oh, you're not holding your breath.
No.
Amen.
And I'm looking at an American Family News story about the passing of Dr. Dobson. He was an advisor to 5 U.S. presidents, as well as being a New York Times best-selling author, and he's the founder of the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute. He left in 2010. He departed from Focus on the Family, and which he started. And then started the Family Institute, Dobson Family Institute.
And Family Talk Radio, which we air here on American Family Radio.
Yeah. He was also recognized by NRB as, I forgot the exact title there, but
Hall of Fame, National Religious Broadcasters.
He was just a titan, along with Don Wildmon and some Jerry Falwell.
D.
Some
James
of these,
Kennedy.
These were titans on the culture war landscape.
Phyllis Schlafly, Beverly, Tim LaHaye.
I mean, what a generation of leaders, and just godly men and women who understood the peril facing our republic, and God raised them up and gave them the ability and the opportunity to impact our nation, and they did it. They took it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Alex, thanks so much for making time on such a short notice. I asked you about 15 minutes ago, could you be on? You said yes. So, Charlie Kirk will be speaking tonight in Myrtle Beach.
7 p.m. tonight. We're at the Alabama Theater, and if you go to their website, Alabama Theater, you can get a ticket. And we've got people coming from 17 states, I'm told, and I met Charlie Kirk several years ago. We wanted to book him, and so folks, please be in prayer for tonight. But I just want to be on record and say that I owe so much to Dr. Dobson. He put me on the radio and Southern accent and all. Tyndale Publishers, I had not even started working at Focus on the Family when Tyndale Publishers came asking me to write books, and now Bert Harper and I have our 3rd book coming out, but it's my 21st book. But James Dobson was a mighty man of God.
Amen.
And so much about what I've been able to be a part of, I owe to James Dobson, and I just pray for Shirley and Ryan and Lene and just God's comfort for the family. But Church of God, may we carry on the fight.
Amen. All right, thanks, Alex. Hope you have a great event tonight.
Thanks, brothers. God bless.
Okay. Fred?
He will. I mean, Charlie Kirk's a big deal. Mm-hmm. That's a great get for him.
What I remember about James Dobson, going back a number of years, he was a frequent guest on Larry King's program on CNN.
Yeah.
He would have him on, but also Focus on the Family radio program. along with Jerry Falwell's Old Time Gospel Hour, you know they had to do different programs for going into Canada.
Yeah.
And this is years ago. We're talking probably 25, 30 years ago. Because what they were talking about, they didn't want the public in Canada to know. Canada's broadcast standards people.
Yeah.
And what they were talking about is pretty mild compared to what we have to talk about today.
Yes.
Of what's going on in our culture. So, but he never stopped. And it was great when he was on with Larry King. And kudos to Larry King. He wasn't sarcastic and nasty. He really wanted to know where Dr. Dobson stood on the issues and why.
Larry King was respectful usually to Billy Graham and other Christian leaders.
Yeah.
He understood a lot more. I'm talking about Larry King, and I know we're not talking about Larry King per se, but he understood more than your modern quote-unquote media people, that you don't antagonize a large percentage of your audience.
Yeah.
When you have a respected guest on from the Christian community, you treat them with respect. You don't get that a lot with some of the media people today. One of the things I appreciated about Dr. Dobson and really Brother Don is both of those gentlemen, they were firm and steadfast in their presentation of the gospel and Christian truth, but their demeanors when they were on these programs was Christian.
Yeah.
They were respectful, but they were firm in what they believed. You just, I don't know, you just, they were impressive in a lot of ways when they spoke. In these sometimes hostile.
The last time I personally saw Dr. Dobson was probably 6 or 7 years ago in Asheville, North Carolina at the Billy Graham Cove Center.
Yeah.
He was a speaker for us at one of our events. There we did about 5 years in a row, and Dr. James Dobson came one year, and I just remember he would have been, 84 then, 83. I just remember he was so eager to get out and walk.
Yeah.
He said,
walking shoes.
Yeah. He said, I got to get out and walk, whatever. He walked a mile or whatever. He said, I haven't missed a day in like 5 years or something.
Oh,
like
wow.
that.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's how you make it to 89.
I guess that's what I was saying. You can do that, or you can eat another slice of pizza.
Okay, so now we're talking about me.
Yeah.
So the one person,
he was looking at you when he said it.
The one person you're implying needs to get out and walk. You just look right at.
Well,
and pick your favorite food.
Right. I like that extra slice of pizza myself.
Yes.
So
actually, pizza's not my favorite food.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's
What
not
is your
really.
favorite food?
Rigatoni with a good marinara sauce is probably my
It's
favorite.
really not that bad for you too. It's got dairy.
Pizza?
It's
There you
got
go.
meat.
Yeah.
You got protein.
Cheese. You said dairy. Yeah.
I usually don't have. I just usually have cheese pizza.
Yeah.
I don't put a lot of the fattening meats on it.
Oh,
I try to
protein.
You have a healthy approach to pizza, right? All right,
They put
Fred.
pineapple
What's
on
our anyway? We saddened to hear the passing, but Dr. James Dobson, obviously a devout Christian man. He's in the presence of the Lord God.
Amen.
Today, 89 years of age. All right, what's your first story, Fred?
Well, the battle that your dad, Tim, and Dr. Dobson, D. James Kenney, and others that we mentioned, the battle continues. And one of the front lines in the battle, the war, is our nation's schools. And we know there have been at least 3 states, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas, that wanted to have the 10 Commandments in those schools, just mounted there, just so people could see it, and for all the reasons that we've talked about before. Well, for the third time in recent weeks, a federal judge has said to these states, you can't do it. And the latest was yesterday in Texas. U.S. District Judge Fred Byrie, by the way, appointed by Bill Clinton, he said, no, Texas, you cannot do that. Well, I'm putting a hold on this. And I wanted to read you some of the quotes from his decision. All right, quotation from Judge Byrie. Even though the 10 Commandments would not be affirmatively taught, the captive audience of students likely would have questions, which teachers would feel compelled to answer. That is what they do, Byrie, who was appointed by Bill Clinton. That's what he wrote in the ruling. He says, this might cause students to ask questions about where does the Ten Commandments come from? What do they mean?
Really?
And that teachers
would
be compelled, they would be compelled to answer the questions. And somehow this judge said, ooh, that's bad. But also, another quote here.
You know your voice is rising, right, Fred?
I know.
He's hot.
Yeah. Having the displays in classrooms, Byrie wrote, would likely pressure children of the parents, challenging them into adopting the state's preferred religion and suppressing their own religious beliefs. The judge said I'm reading from an AP story here, by the way. The judge said there are ways students could be taught the Ten Commandments history without its being placed in every classroom. Quote from the judge, for those who disagree with the court's decision and who would do so with threats, vulgarities, and violence, grace and peace unto you, he wrote. May humankind of all faiths, beliefs, and non-beliefs be reconciled one to another.
I read some of this ruling this morning. It's long. It's 55 pages. So this happened recently, and I couldn't get through all of it. I noticed that what the judge did, God bless you, Tim.
Thank you.
I hope people are influenced by the fact that I mentioned God when they heard me say it.
Right. It's not in the Ten Commandments.
It's not. But I noted that he started off talking about how Homo sapiens, he referred to Homo sapiens throughout the ruling, okay, not people. He wanted to make sure he was seen as promoting, quote unquote, the scientific view of mankind. And he said that human beings invented religion to deal with their own mortality. So he comes from a secular, humanistic, Darwinian perspective. His reasoning here is the same as the Supreme Court reasoning in Stone v. Graham, which I think was a Kentucky case where they had posted the Ten Commandments. I want to say that was 1980.
Right.
And the reasoning of the Supreme Court and these other courts in the Louisiana and Texas case is the same. They say that the posting of the Ten Commandments will influence young people, will cause them to even obey the Ten Commandments because they're posted in an official capacity by the school. And, of course, we're not allowed to do that. Meanwhile, and I know I'm not trying to short-circuit our discussion here on this particular ruling, because there will be a couple of other stories here that tie into this. Meanwhile, the schools have no problem putting pride flags up and other pro-LGBTQ posters, so on and so forth. So it's clear that what we're dealing with here is a war against God and a substitution of the Ten Commandments with a state-sponsored religious view, because if the Supreme Court is right that posting the Ten Commandments in school will cause students to agree with those Ten Commandments, then posting pro-homosexual stuff will cause kids to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It'll cause them to agree with the pro-LGBTQ ideology, and that's what we've been seeing for the last 20 years.
You know, I was thinking the same thing.
Hey, man, you're right on.
Hey, in all seriousness, I was following along all the way. The only thing that I would add to what you said, again, that was really well done, Ed, especially pointing out the rainbow flag and the LGBT.
Yeah.
You're going to see that across many schools and public schools. The only thing that I would add is that just thinking through it reasonably. Now I know you have to consider everything you just said.
Yeah.
The court 1980 court case, the legal side of things. I get that. However, who benefits from the Ten Commandments? Everyone does.
Right.
Non-Christians alike, secularists, the progressives. Everyone benefits from not stealing other people's stuff. Everyone benefits from not having being in an adulterous relationship.
Right.
Everyone benefits from not lying. And the list goes on and on and on. Now, if you're non-Christian, you can pick or choose the 2 or 3 at the top. Non-Christian, be like, I'm not really about making God first in my life. Okay. everyone else, all the moral code, everyone benefits from it.
Right.
And so to act like this is something that's going to lead to, it's certainly not going to lead to, in fact, it helps. It benefits a lot of people, because if you look at a lot of the issues that happen in schools, whether it be of violence or shootings or theft or any of these type of things, could be resolved or could have been potentially prevented by someone being convicted by walking by the Ten Commandments.
Right.
You're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Well, this is kind of disappointing because I had hoped to, if the Ten Commandments had been allowed to stay on the walls, I was hoping next we could promote forced baptisms for everybody in America and do so in a way that I would approve of.
You think that's the same thing?
It's two totally different things.
Think that's the same thing?
Well, I'm being facetious to make a point. That's what the left would say about.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They would say, see there, those people, those right wing nuts, man. They just want to force everybody's children to go to a vacation Bible school and get baptized and everything like that. Listen, the Ten Commandments, we don't have time to go into it right now, but Stephen McDowell or David Barton or others could wax eloquent on this. The Ten Commandments were foundational to early American history.
They were taught in those classrooms,
Yeah, and so
for the reason I mentioned, everyone benefits from it.
Yeah, and America. And I'm just what's called the West. You know, where you have democracy and representative government and those kinds of things, freedom and liberty, and as opposed to the communist countries or the Islamic controlled countries. Then but the Ten Commandments were, one of the founding documents, if you will.
Can I say something bold?
Sure, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify yesterday's ruling from this judge. It applies to public schools in Houston, Austin, and other select districts, so it's not the whole state. So I just want to
even though it was a federal judge.
Yes, I just want to clarify that.
Because it was certain people from those districts that challenged it.
Yes, there was, according to the AP, the law is being challenged by a group of Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Unitarian Universalist, and non-religious families, including clergy who have children in public schools.
All right, I want to say something bold here. Okay,
you go bold.
I'm going bold. Go bold or go home. Kind of thing. All right, I understand that my belief. Oh, got them. All right.
Can you get it? Can you squeeze your belief in 30 seconds, or you want to come back after the break?
Let's come back after the break. Brent did that on purpose. He knew I was going to go bold, and he started the.
The clock is
music.
what it is, man.
We'll just wait. I'll come back and I'll give my bold, challenging statement. It might or might not get me in trouble with the world.
Well,
you know,
I've already given the what's the group in Southern Poverty Law Center?
Oh, yeah.
I've already given them some good fodder a while ago. They could just take that quote I said about I won't force baptism.
That's right. That's it.
I did that for them.
Yeah,
to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
Because one of their staff has to listen to this show every day.
They must listen to AFR all the time.
I want them to get their boss. Hey, come here and listen to Wildmon say this.
Yeah, forced baptism.
We'll be back momentarily. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
One day, a friend and I were walking just to the south of the old city of Jerusalem. We were headed down to the Pool of Siloam. We were passing through an Arab residential section, and several children were playing in the streets. The children were looking at us very closely, for they knew that we were tourists. I decided to see if I could speak a word of greeting in a language they would understand. Now, I did not know how to greet them in their language, but I knew that their word for greeting and the Jewish word of greeting, shalom, were very similar in sound. I looked at one group of little children and tried my luck. Shalom, I said as best I could. Immediately a smile appeared on their faces, and a familiar word came back. "Hello," they replied. I tried to talk to them in English, but they couldn't understand a word I said. Evidently, they, like myself, knew only the one word, a foreign language. So my friend and I continued on down the street. With each child, I waved my hand and said, "Shalom," and always the reply came back, "Hello." Each child replied with a word I knew and a big smile. On down the road away, my friend made a comment. "You know, a smile is understood in any language." And it is. When words cannot be understood, a smile can. We were able to communicate with little children, and they with us, through the simple effort of a smile. My day was made a whole lot better by little children who greeted us, grinning from ear to ear and laughing at my crude efforts to say hello in their language. A smile is such a simple thing, it can never be complicated. It's so simple that little children the world over know what it means. And a smile certainly has good effects on both the one who uses it and the one to whom it is expressed. I've been around people who have forgotten how to smile. Many of them are so sour you wonder if they ever knew how. And I must confess that rather than adding any sunshine to my day, they generally succeeded in detracting from it. William Shakespeare once wrote, "The robbed that smiles steals something from the thief." And it was Nathaniel Hawthorne who wrote, "A stale article, if you will dip it in a good, warm, sunny smile, will go off better than a fresh one that you've scrawled upon." It doesn't take much effort to smile, nor any knowledge at all. It only takes a good attitude in the heart. And smiling takes only about half the physical effort of a frown. Life can get so complicated at times that it takes a few simple things to get it going right again. Simple things have a way of making life more enjoyable. And, as we all know, a smile is such a simple thing.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Hey, have you considered becoming a Great Commission partner? If you do, you'll be joining others who believe like you and are determined to defend against those who want to destroy God's institution of the family. You'll also receive some great benefits, like full access to AFA Stream, a monthly subscription to our magazine, access to exclusive donor events, and more as our thanks for your support. Please stop by afr.net/donate today for all the details. afr.net/donate.
Don't let anyone look down on you because of your youth, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. 1 Timothy 4:12.
This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. So we are going to interview Ambassador Mike Huckabee, the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, coming up in 30 minutes. That's the plan. And we know our plans always work out, don't we? So we hope that all goes well and we're able to talk to Mike Huckabee. Tim Wildmon here with Ed Vitagliano, Wesley Wildmon, and Fred Jackson. You're listening to the radio program Today's Issues. We were talking about earlier about the passing of Dr. James Dobson, founder of Focus on the Family and Family Talk Radio. And then our second topic involved, we were talking about the Ten Commandments, where a federal judge, one federal judge in the Fifth Circuit, which is Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana, he ruled on a case out of Texas where some people objected to the Ten Commandments being posted on the walls of public schools. And so we'll see where that case goes, but he ruled against that. So you were going to talk about
Yeah, I just want to say this. The United States and in general the Western civilization is not going to survive without a return to Christianity. Listen, I understand all the things you jokingly
and its influence.
And its influence. You were joking, talking about, well, we need to force all kids to be baptized. Obviously not. That's not what I'm talking about. And I know that there are differences even on the issue of the Ten Commandments, the way the Catholics and the Protestants number the Ten Commandments, same commandments, but the way they number them. All those, listen, I understand all those kinds of arguments and disagreements. Even our founding fathers were sometimes angry at the established churches in individual states. I put all of those problems in one basket. I'm talking about that which unifies the West and serves as the foundational idea and the foundational ideas undergirding freedom and liberty and morality.
Yep.
And I agree with the founder of founders, George Washington, in his farewell address, who said, political prosperity is built on the pillars of religion and morality. And by religion, he didn't just mean a general religion. He was referring to Christianity in this country. And I believe that's true. Without the Christian faith and the morality derived from it, Thomas Jefferson agreed with George Washington. He would have added education to that as another pillar. We cannot have political prosperity. We will not survive. And so unless we do something to return to Christianity in this country, the only intermediate step for parents is going to be increasingly to pull their kids out of the public schools, which have become an engine of secular and immoral propaganda. By and large, not every single one of them, not every single teacher. Parents, more and more parents are going to have to abandon the public school propaganda machine, because all they're going to do in a lot of districts, in a lot of states, is they are going to undermine the republic and stay at war with Christianity and promote ungodliness and wickedness. And to save the souls of your kids, parents more and more are going to have to make the choice to abandon the public schools until we are able to return to the Christian ideas and ideals that founded this country.
Can we get an amen?
Hey, listen.
Yeah, amen. Amen, brother.
I more and more I see it that way.
Yeah. To Ed's point.
Yeah.
At about the same time this judge's decision was coming down in Texas yesterday, I got an email from our good friend Linda Harvey. She is with Mission America. Here's the headline of her press release: School Corruption and Propaganda Calendar. And I would invite people to go to this website because it outlines the dates on which basically homosexuality, transgenderism, correct pronouns, all of these sorts of things are going to be held. Let me just give you a few examples. We got a lot of kids are going back to school,
right?
If they're not already in school, all right, for the fall term. September 16th to the 23rd, Bisexual Awareness Week. All right? This is where your school officials are wanting students to celebrate these things, all right?
Yeah, they're posting this stuff on the wall,
yes.
Not the Ten Commandments.
October 5 to 11, Ban Books Week, all right?
And that is all about parents wanting to remove these perverted books from school libraries.
Yes.
They claim they're wanting to burn and ban books.
The whole month of October, LGBTQ History Month.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yes. Coming Out Day, October the 11th. I'm just reading it. International Pronouns Day. All right? Look for many schools to require rigid speech codes and the use of inaccurate pronouns and claim that federal law requires this, that you use the pronoun.
Which is hogwash.
Identify.
Who's promoting all this? What group?
All different groups.
Different groups.
Okay. But they're wanting the public schools to participate.
Yes.
Right. I would say
while also removing the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
that's the
or not
collision.
or not putting them up in the
anyway,
place.
Just go to Mission America, folks.
She's very good. Linda Harvey's been doing this for years.
Yes. Yeah. And she gives the dates, the weeks, and this goes throughout the whole school year into next spring. So just be aware that your kids are going to, folks, if your kids go into public school, I'm not saying every public school in the nation,
right?
But these are the kinds of things, the Library Association, the Human Rights Campaign is involved with this, GLAAD, all of these groups.
And that doesn't even include all the woke DEI garbage.
That's right.
That is also infested many of our schools.
You still have a good bit in the Bible Belt in the South. You still have a good bit of small public schools that I know that I go to school. I go to church with principals and teachers that are involved, and they're still doing everything they can to influence with their Christian perspective in mind. They, have an FCA on campus, student led there. So there's a lot of that going on. But but to your point, what we're seeing in the news is the Loudoun County stuff.
Yes.
And so at minimum, you've got to be very involved in knowing what's being taught at your schools, and in the event that you can, which I do recommend, Christian education, private schools, homeschool, all those types of things. If you can't find a small school that I just described, I do recommend being very involved in your children's education.
That's a very important point.
And you need to push back.
Yeah.
And cause a little bit of friction in the case, like you're seeing at some of these. What are they, school board meetings? What are we seeing the pushback from parents and even students? Sometimes you're seeing these clips of them meeting, having these gatherings, and they've got the school board up there, and they're saying, "Listen, I don't want to." I've seen videos of the young girls, students saying, "I don't want men in my bathroom," things like that. So, and those are some courageous people, and we need more of that. You're going to have to stand up.
Yeah, and we see parents reading in front of the school board, reading books that are in the school library.
Yes, everybody feels uncomfortable.
And the school board says, stop it.
Yes.
You're not allowed to read that.
Yeah,
and the parents going, well, the kids can read it.
Yes, right. Yes.
It's crazy.
Right. You're listening to Today's Issues on AFR. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Fred. Next story, Fred.
Well, apparently the talks are continuing with regards to hopefully getting a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. But the Russians, in the wake of that meeting less than a week ago, President Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska, and then we had the meeting of all these European leaders at the White House the other day. Regardless of all of that, Russia last night launched one of its biggest aerial attacks of the year on Ukraine, firing 574 drones and 40 ballistic and cruise missiles overnight. So Vladimir Putin, the war is still on with him. And according to the Associated Press, one of the things that happened was there is apparently a U.S. electronics plant near the Ukrainian border was also struck. About 600 night shift workers were there. Several were injured. Dan Hoffman is a former CIA station chief. This is how he assesses what's going on. Cut number 2.
Yeah, well, first of all, we need to collect the facts. There's always a bit of the fog of war here, and so there's initial reports about this attack, which, is part of a larger attack, massive drone attack by the Russians. And really, over the past few weeks, the Russians have been launching ballistic missile and drone attacks on Ukraine unabated. But again, we need to get all the facts here, and then we can assess what damage was done. And I'm sure that Director Ratcliffe and the rest of the intelligence community will be looking for reflections to determine whether Russia deliberately targeted this facility, if indeed they did.
One of the other developments overnight on this front was Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. You probably have seen him being interviewed on TV. He said yesterday that working on security arrangements in Ukraine without Moscow's involvement was not feasible. What he's referring to, something that came out of that meeting in Alaska last week, is that what's being proposed is a security line inside Ukraine made up of forces, various NATO forces, and I understand the U.S. might be involved in aircraft over that particular area. What this Russian official is saying is, we want to be in on the talks on what constitutes this security line that you NATO people are talking about.
Well, Lavrov, I've been reading some on this guy. Is he the foreign minister? Russian foreign minister? Anyway, I've been reading some of the things he said since the war broke out. I went back and looked at some of the things. And he said as recently as this month that Russia would never approve a Ukrainian government that was not pro-Russian. He said, all this talk about us wanting only being satisfied with parts of Ukraine is incomplete. We want a pro-Russian government in Ukraine. So I don't know where this thing winds up. And I don't know what kinds of conversations Trump has had with Putin, but this does not bode well for the future of Ukraine.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're at a complete and utter stalemate in terms of what
else can be done at the moment.
What else can be done? I mean, by outside forces.
Right.
This seems like to me, for all. Now, President Trump has talked about further sanctions for Russia, but that hasn't happened yet, and who knows whether it will or not. And I don't know how many have they already been sanctioned? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Talking about Russia, big time. They've been sanctioned.
I think at this point,
hasn't stopped
they're kind of sanction proof.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be some inconvenience, some economic impact on the Russian people with sanctions, but Putin doesn't care. That's the problem. Is he is willing to put his own people through some minor economic dislocation, but he is betting on the fact that NATO, that European forces, and that the U.S. are not going to get involved militarily, and he's going to do what he wants. And I think that bet is going to pay off.
How long do you think President Trump keeps talking to Vladimir Putin? Because it's not doing any good.
Right.
And he's been, you know what I'm saying? I need to quit saying that.
No.
I keep saying that, using that expression. But I'm talking about he just keeps on. Now, you got to give him an A for effort. Talking about President Trump, he wants to bring peace to the region. But some people would say Vladimir Putin's playing him. And it's not easy to play Donald Trump. But
Well, I said the same thing 2 weeks ago, and then a week later they met, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, maybe.
Right.
See. But I think it's just it's a hamster wheel at this point.
Yeah.
I just think I think Putin is playing Donald Trump to this extent. Putin knows Donald Trump wants to bring peace. Vladimir Putin, is giving indications that he wants peace when in reality he does not. And President Trump has no way of reading what's in Putin's heart and mind. He's going by the words he speaks.
Right.
But if you have what we have just seen in the last couple of weeks, the meeting in Alaska between Trump and Putin, and then with the meeting with these European country leaders and Zelensky, and it looks like maybe there's going to be a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and then Russia turns around and unleashes for the last couple of nights these bombs and cruise missiles. It seems clear that Putin is trying to get a point across, and nobody in the West seems to be getting it.
We could be talking a year from now about Russia taking over Ukraine completely.
Yeah.
That's not out of the realm of possibility, because I think Putin basically wanted to hear from Donald Trump, president, and President Trump has said this out loud, and I understand, and I don't disagree with it. But he said, President Trump said, America will not get involved in this war directly. That's all Putin really needs to hear, because that's all he fears.
Yes,
is the United States military or United States directly involved. Other than that, it's just. He's just they're just talking
but
words.
It is interesting though if you go back through how long has Trump been in office now? 9 months, 8 months, somewhere.
Well, since January.
Okay, so
8 months.
Okay, so if
months.
you're looking at over that time period, every other situation, even some of the most bizarre things like Greenland, he said, well, everything's open for negotiation. So for him to come out and say, we're not going to put boots on the ground, he must be pretty certain about that.
He knows the American people don't want that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
even his own MAGA movement.
No, they don't want that.
Maybe this is probably this is obviously a lot more serious topic, but even in Greenland, he said, "Well, I'm not sure we'll take it by force." Remember?
Yes,
right.
So military's not off the table.
Then he sized up those fishermen in Greenland and said, "I don't know. We're going to have to delay that.
We don't want a piece of those guys."
Yeah. So anyway, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Anything else to add to that, Fred?
Well, Trump also said he wanted to make Canada the 51st state.
Yes.
So I'm going to send a resume in to be the.
With Trump, we all know, President, and this is all baked in with your opinion of Donald Trump. He says stuff that is sometimes just so outlandish. You just go, "Are you serious or not?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And he said, he said, "I could solve the Ukrainian-Russian war in 24 hours." Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, during the campaign.
Yeah, during the campaign. Wasn't it one day? 24 hours or something like that?
Yeah.
And then so we all knew, no, you can't.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't.
You didn't know what?
I didn't know that Trump that wasn't going to happen, because I assumed, like Trump may have assumed, I'm not speaking for the president, that both Putin and Zelensky at this point wanted an off-ramp. And I think that's what Trump was thinking. I'll get them together. We'll come up with something that gives them allows them both to save face, and we can end this thing. But it seems clear that Putin does not want to end it until he gets what he wants.
Yeah. So, all right, next story, Fred.
All right, our own Jenna Ellis spoke this morning with Florida's brand new Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins, and she spoke to him. He's in California. He's not on the beach. He was sent out there by Governor DeSantis to pick up one Harbinger Singh. He is the truck driver. I think most of our folks have now seen this horrible scene. He was the truck driver driving this 18-wheeler that decided to do a U-turn on a turnpike in Florida. And a family, 3 people, crashed into the back of that trailer, and they all died. So Mr. Singh has signed off on extradition papers, and Jay Collins has gone out there to pick him up. Now, we've heard Governor DeSantis talking a lot about this case and pointing out the tragedy has a lot to do with California's policy on who gets a truck driving license for these big 18-wheelers. Here's the governor, Ron DeSantis, cut 3.
You had an illegal alien truck driver that got a commercial driver's license in the state of California, employed by a California company, kill 3 people in Florida. This guy didn't even speak English. We're bringing him up on charges. He's going to face a lot. And I can announce that I said initially the company needs to be held accountable, and we've been working with the federal government, and they are pulling that company's license to do business.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the other thing. Part of the test to be one of these over-the-road truck driving drivers is that you have to speak English. And
really,
you have
probably
to
read it too.
Read the signs.
You've got to be able to recognize certain traffic signs too, which in allegedly he failed a bunch of those.
Well, there's 12 signs. He only got 2 right.
And he
still got his license.
This outrageous, this case.
Well,
and these poor people dead.
This is kind of fits along the line of DEI.
That's
really
true. Yeah.
You have a fella here. How you get a commercial driver's license when
by failing,
when you can't prove citizenship is stunning to me. And so this company,
but that's not a problem in California.
Not in California.
You don't have to be a citizen.
Well, that's true. That
well, the problem is they're leaving the state, and other people are being responsible for it, like this instance.
Right. The actions of California, in this case, affected the citizens of Florida in a deadly way.
Well, and let's face it. This guy drove his truck from one side of the country to the other. How many other people did he put into danger as he's crossing the United States?
And how many more of them are out there like this who are illegal with the illegal license?
Yeah, the Trucker Association, there was a rep that was interviewed over the last few days on this. He says there's a lot of Mr. Singhs out there They don't know how to read signs.
Right.
California grants basically, if you can get behind the wheel, you got it. Doesn't matter whether you're in the country illegally, and obviously that you can't speak English.
Let me add this real quick. We've got a donor that's listening to us, and he drove. He texted me earlier. He drove for 30 years as a truck driver. I believe I read that correctly. And he said he was never involved in an incident, anything like that. He said, but in the event that he said that would have shocked me. He said the reaction of the guy when it happened. If y'all have seen the video, for those that have seen the video, if you hadn't seen the video, this is hard to explain. So maybe y'all can help. But the reaction of the guy seemed almost heartless or soulless,
nonchalant.
Yeah,
you're watching a minivan. Was it a minivan or an SUV?
Yeah,
minivan. Yeah,
run under the truck as the truck is positioned sideways across the turnpike. And so, it probably decapitated those people.
Yeah. But the point he said, that would have terrified me. I mean, my reaction would have been, my God,
I think
normal.
His reaction, the driver's reaction, the guy we're talking about here. Yeah, I noticed that myself. Now, you don't see but just a few seconds that I'm able to see.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question? This is not a crack against Canada. I'm not including Canada in this, but have any of you three ever driven in a foreign country? Well, like India. I know you've been on trips. So
I've been in a taxi in Cairo, which was frightening.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about the way people drive in some of these countries, like India or Egypt. It is terrifying.
Yeah. The lane designations don't mean anything.
And
they don't.
Stop signs, yield signs, if they even have them. So
kind of like a big city.
Yeah, well,
you're describing Atlanta.
In big cities, you'll get tickets for reckless driving. I'm just wondering how he learned to drive in India. Might have had something to do with the stunt
or not drive
when he basically closed off an entire interstate when he was pulling that U.
Well, he was trying to do the U-turn on one of those areas along a turnpike where the sign says for official use only.
Right.
We've seen those. Only state troopers are supposed to turn on those things.
Yeah, and, the fact that he got a driver's license in California and he was not a citizen of the U.S.
And then a commercial
driver's license. The state of California, that just goes to show you, how dumb wokeness can be.
Yeah. And accidents can happen, but the problem is this is avoidable by law.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Governor Ron DeSantis said that whoever employed this fella is going to lose their business license.
Trucking firm.
Yeah.
It's a trucking firm?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to be back. We hope to speak to Ambassador Mike Huckabee coming up in just a few minutes here on this network, American Family Radio. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Hey, if you're looking for family-friendly entertainment or resources to strengthen your walk with God, there's one name you should remember: American Family Studios. We don't just want to bring you shows, movies, and specials that will entertain or build up your family. We're committed to honoring God by making them both biblically sound and of the highest quality possible. Check us out at AmericanFamilyStudios.net.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. A New York appeals court this morning has thrown out President Donald Trump's massive fraud penalty that stood to cost Trump more than $500 million. Despite this decision, New York Attorney General Letitia James says her office will not be dropping the case. But former U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy thinks it will ultimately be thrown out.
Well, I think that Trump may be ultimately completely exonerated on this. For now, the penalty goes. There was division in the appeals court about the merits of the underlying suit, but as you point out, what they found basically under an Eighth Amendment theory, that's the amendment that prohibits cruel and unusual punishments. There was such a mismatch between whatever wrong was actually established in the trial and the outrageous penalty that was imposed for it. And I think there could still be an appeal to the highest appeals court in New York, the Court of Appeals, where they will deal with the question that seems to have vexed the appellate division, which is the whole merits of the case.
At least 15 people in Ukraine were injured after an overnight aerial barrage by Russia. Stephanie Bennett reports from London.
It was one of the heaviest attacks of the year as Russia launched 574 drones and 40 missiles across Ukraine. The Ukrainian Air Force says the attacks mostly targeted western regions of the country, where much of the military aid provided by Western allies is believed to be delivered and stored. On X, President Zelensky said several missiles were lobbed against American-owned electronics manufacturers, saying it was a regular civilian business supported by American investments producing everyday items like coffee machines. This comes as President Donald Trump is spearheading diplomatic efforts to end the war. President Zelensky has said Ukraine is ready to meet with Putin in neutral Europe, but the Russian foreign minister said today Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky, pending issues being well worked out. In London, Stephanie Bennett, Fox News.
The House Oversight Committee continuing their investigation into the cover-up of former President Biden's declining mental acuity while in office. Ian Sams, a longtime Democrat communications operative who served as a senior advisor for the White House counsel's office during the Biden administration, is on Capitol Hill today for a closed-door transcribed interview. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer.
It's very clear the president was shielded from the media, from most of his cabinet secretaries, and from the American people. A lot of activity happened, especially during the lame duck period with that auto pen, and we haven't seen, or I haven't seen anything yet that would lead me to believe that the president knew a lot about what was going on with that auto pen, and that's very concerning.
A pro-family activist says Dr. James Dobson will have a prominent place in the history of America. Chad Groening has more.
Dr. James Dobson, who is one of the most influential Christian leaders of the past half-century and a tireless advocate for the traditional family, passed away early this morning at the age of 89. The founder of the James Dobson Family Institute recently served on President Donald Trump's Evangelical Executive Advisory Board. Gary Bauer serves as Senior Vice President of Public Policy at the Dr. James Dobson Family Institute.
It was very sad to find out this morning that Dr. Dobson had passed on to be with the Lord. I've had a long working relationship with Dr. Dobson. We started the Family Research Council together. He was instrumental in the founding of so many different pro-family organizations.
Bauer appreciates their relationship in recent years.
I've had the pleasure to come alongside of him and help him at the James Dobson Family Institute as he began to suffer the ravages of age.
Bauer says Dr. Dobson will have a prominent place in history.
I think if there's any fair history written about America and the great struggle about what kind of country we're going to be and whether we'll live up to the founders' promise of being one nation under God, that the prominent place in that history will be Dr. James Dobson.
I'm Chad Groening.
And U.S. stocks are edging lower today as Wall Street makes its final moves before the head of the Federal Reserve gives a highly anticipated speech Friday that could hint at where interest rates are going. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
God is at work and He's calling His people to rise in truth. Truth Rising is a powerful new documentary from Focus on the Family and the Colson Center. See how ordinary Christians choose courage in a culture that needs truth. Watch Truth Rising starting September 5th and find out how you can be a part of the change and become an agent of restoration. Sign up at truthrising.com. That's truthrising.com.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. I'm Tim with Ed Vitagliano and Wesley Wildmon, and now Parrish Alford joins us. Good morning, Parrish.
Tim, how are you, man?
Doing well. Yourself?
I'm all right. All right. Happy to be here.
Well, we like that attitude right there, Parrish. Right. Happy to be here. Just happy to serve. All right, so we told you an hour ago and 30 minutes ago that Ambassador Mike Huckabee was scheduled to be with us, and then I said sarcastically, but we all know how that works.
When you're at the ambassadorial
level, you don't know what you're going to be called to do
happen.
or say. So I think we have Mike Huckabee with us now from Jerusalem. Good morning, Mike. Good afternoon.
Good morning, Tim. It is a pleasure to be with you. Did you ever doubt that I was going to show up?
Well,
is that really what I'm hearing here?
I didn't doubt your willingness to show up and come on. It's just that I know that things interfere with schedules sometimes, and that happens. Now, it's afternoon there in Israel, right?
It's actually 7 o'clock at night. So we're about 8 hours ahead of Central Time Zone where you are in Mississippi.
Okay. How long have you been on the job there now?
It seems like for several years, but it's actually just been since the early part of April. But, Tim, I'm loving it. I'm where God wants me to be, and I'm having an incredibly intense time. I don't want to make it sound like that this is a ceremonial position, because this ambassadorship is definitely not. But I just know that I'm where I need to be, and it's been a delight to be here, serving the President and the United States in a part of the world that I've been visiting for 52 years and have been here over 100 times before I came to live permanently. And it's at a very critical time in the life of Israel and in the relationship between the United States and Israel. So I feel privileged and blessed beyond measure to be able to have this opportunity.
Well, what's your day-to-day look like? I know it probably changes, but what's one or two things that's on your daily priority list there?
Well, every day I spend some time in high-level security briefings in a skiff where we can't have phones or watches or very intense just gathering of what's going on in the region. We get briefed by our intelligence staff, and, that's something that's not what you do every day when you live in Little Rock, so it's been quite a different world. But it's a very hectic schedule from early morning until late night. I still have 2 more meetings tonight after I finish the call with you. It's just the way it is, and there's never 2 days quite alike, but a lot of events, but a lot of meetings with high-level government officials in Israel, ambassadors from other countries, trying to deal with some of the complex issues. I spent several weeks shuttling back and forth between Palestinian Authority leaders in Ramallah and Jerusalem, trying to deal with some issues that are conflicting between the two. You just never know what you're going to be dealing with. Of course, we've been down into Gaza, checking out the humanitarian situation there, watching the humanitarian delivery of food through the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It's everything that a person could hope for in terms of you're never bored, because there's never a day that things just all fall into place and it's simple.
We're talking to Ambassador Mike Huckabee, who is the U.S. Ambassador to Israel. He's in Jerusalem, on the job, as they say. You have been in the news the last couple of weeks speaking out on the idea that's been presented by many in the mainstream media that Israel's starving the people of Gaza intentionally. And you wanted to set the record straight, and go ahead and talk about that issue if you would.
Well, Tim, it's just a vicious lie. First of all, when in the history of the human race has a nation that was attacked and its citizens murdered expected to feed the people whose country murdered them? I mean, that just didn't happen. And I get a little frustrated when I hear people like the Prime Minister of Great Britain criticize Israel for not putting more food in for the Gazans. The fact is, they put 2 million tons of food in. There has been plenty of food that has been sent into Gaza. The problem, according to the United Nations' own numbers, 92.5% of that food was stolen or looted by Hamas. So it's not a lack of food, and it isn't the Israelis that are keeping it from getting to the people. It's Hamas. And I just wish that all of these European countries that are giving Israel such a hard time about the manner in which they're trying to defend themselves would put the pressure where it belongs, and that's on the savages of Hamas who carried out some of the most despicable, unspeakable horrors of humanity against Jewish people on October the 7th of 2023. So it's a constant battle to try to get truth juxtaposed against the lies that are constantly put in the media. And I'll give you a couple of examples. The New York Times, about a week ago, ran a picture of a child on the front page of the New York Times and said, this child is starving because of Israel. But the truth is the child had a genetic disorder, had a birth defect. The child wasn't starving. The child had a medical problem. If you looked at the pictures of his entire family, his mother and siblings were quite well fed. So it's that kind of nonsense. This week alone, there was a story coming out of Italy that the Israelis had starved a child, and they flew it to Italy for medical treatment, and the child died of starvation. Again, not true. Israelis did fly the child to Italy, but the reason they flew the child to Italy was because the child had leukemia. The child died, but the child died because of the leukemia. The child was not starving. It's that kind of thing that is a constant source of frustration. And to be where I can speak against it and try to bring truth and light to it, that's one of the, I think, most important things I do here.
Absolutely. We were talking to Ambassador Mike Huckabee. Well, Mike, one other thing I have to ask you, you're obviously a believer, a Christian, and I don't know that the U.S. has had a evangelical Christian as ambassador to Israel ever or in a long time. Do you know that?
I don't know. I think I may be the first. There have been others who considered Christian, but more mainline denominations. But I'm pretty sure I'm the first evangelical. And frankly, when the president asked me to do it, I was concerned that maybe there would be people who said, he's not qualified to be the ambassador to Israel. He's not Jewish. Much to my delight, Jewish people, both in the U.S. and in Israel, have been the most supportive, and even among secular Jews. And here's what they tell me, and it's very rewarding to hear. They say, we are glad that you are who you are, because if you were Jewish and you were supporting Israel, everybody would say, well, of course he does. He's Jewish. What choice does he have? I'm not Jewish. I'm Christian, and I do have a choice. But my love of Israel and my support is not because I'm Jewish. It's because I believe the Bible. And I just trust the scriptures when it tells me that those who bless Israel will be blessed and those who curse Israel will be cursed. I have a deep appreciation for the fact that my own faith is built entirely on the foundation of Judaism. Without the Jewish faith, without God's revelation through the Jewish people, God chose a people, he chose a place, he chose a purpose. And without that, my own faith wouldn't exist. So it's easy for me as a Bible believer to understand and even to explain why I am a supporter of the Jewish people and of the state of Israel.
Amen. All right, Mike, we will let you go to you said 2 other meetings?
Yeah, it's going to be a long night, but most of them are. But just pray for the peace of Jerusalem, Tim, and I want to thank all your listeners because I really believe that most of the people who listen to American Family Radio are the people who love God, who
Amen.
believe the Scriptures to be the infallible, inerrant Word of God, and there are those who do pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I'm deeply grateful for
Amen.
them.
Amen. All right, Mike, take care, my friend. We'll talk to you again real soon, and we appreciate you making time for us.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. That's Ambassador Mike Huckabee, who, before he was confirmed, he said, I will be on with you when.
Yes, he did. And he's kept his promise.
Kept his promise. Promises made, promises kept.
Yes, that's right.
All right. You're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio, and pray for him.
Yes.
Ambassador Mike Huckabee.
Sounds like it's a tough schedule that he's keeping.
Formerly the governor of Arkansas for 2 terms, and now ambassador to, I like what he said. He said, yeah, the meetings over here aren't like life in Little Rock, something to that effect. You remember him saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike had lived in the Gulf Coast for a few years, had a home there at least, down on the Gulf Coast. And then he moved back, somebody said, to Little Rock. And then he had a TV show he did for years on Fox called Huckabee. And then he switched over and did it for, I think, TBN. And wonderful man there, Governor Mike Huckabee, joining us from Jerusalem. All right, Parrish, what's your first story?
Well, Tim, I would like to crash in. That's a radio term I understand that I've learned since
Crash
I've been
in?
here. Crash in.
Crash away.
Because this I did not have available for the preparation meeting earlier, but I'm wondering if you guys have discussed Cracker Barrel's new logo. Have y'all discussed that?
No, but
we haven't.
We have not, and we have not discussed Cracker Barrel's renovations of their stores.
Yes.
Or their new, apparently, woke CEO.
I think our listeners are waiting for us to weigh in on this.
Well, y'all aren't kidding. This is real?
This is real.
Well, all right, what are we talking about here? I don't even know what we're talking about. Go ahead, lay it on us.
Well, the story that I have is about the quote, modernization that they're seeking, the new CEO is seeking. They have changed the logo. They've changed the decor in their stores and whatnot.
Is that a new logo?
This is the old logo.
Okay,
Tim.
where's the new logo?
This is the new logo. You can see that the gentleman sitting in the rocking chair next to the barrel, they're both gone. They've just vanished.
What happened to the fella?
They're gone. I also didn't know that
he was disappeared.
That his name is Old Timer. Okay, I learned that in the story. His name is Old Timer, but it doesn't matter. He's gone.
What is a Cracker Barrel exactly, Ed? Do you know, or what?
I do know.
Or what is a Cracker Barrel?
This is not trivia, guys.
No,
it's tomorrow. Okay.
We need to comment on that, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, they used to ship crackers in big barrels. That was before they came in boxes.
So it's not a racial
boxes.
term.
Cracker. Oh my goodness.
What?
No, it's got nothing to do with crackers.
Some people,
that white people.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do. No, it's that's why it's a barrel in the old logo. He's standing by a barrel. They used to ship all kinds of things in barrels, and crackers were.
So that's gone. The Cracker Barrel that we've always known, the sign with the man sitting by the barrel is gone, and it's just going to say Cracker. Okay, that's for every company changes their logo and their look, so I don't have a problem with that necessarily. What's the next
tank?
What's the woke stuff?
No, the accusation is the new CEO is doing this because she's alleged. That's why I said allegedly woke. The decor of the store has changed. All the old timey stuff that's up on the walls, all that stuff is gone. The lattice work. I don't know about our local.
When did you go in the store last?
No, I'm just saying. I don't know if our local Cracker Barrel has gone this route, but that's the intent, is for all these stores to change. Remember the lattice between the dining sections?
But how's that woke?
I'm not saying it's woke. I'm saying some are saying the changes are woke because they are going away from the old country feel, because they're jettisoning their old school values.
Wesley?
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned that they have a new founder, a new CEO. Okay. Well, her views, if it's out there, could give indication on why they're doing what they're doing. You know, a lot of these restaurants like this, they have a contract, so they have to follow whatever headquarters says.
Oh yes.
So
if they're franchises, so
what's her name? We're getting there.
Do you know the name of?
Well,
regardless
of the name, talking to Parrish.
Yeah, I don't see the name in this story.
No, not.
Regardless.
All right, CEO Julie Fels Massino. Masino.
Yeah, we need like a Frank.
Well, we'll see. I haven't been in there in a while. I need to go in there, Cracker Barrel. But I think they're trying to change their image somewhat to appeal to
facelift
new customers. Yeah.
And they have come out. The company's come out as supportive of LGBTQ. And that's part of why there's accusations that the company is, back in the early 90s, they were targeted by the LGBTQ crowd because they would not have Pride Month celebrations and those kind of things. And now they have gone in that direction.
We got rainbow grits now.
Well,
do we? Is that what you're saying?
No. So that's why people are saying that these changes now are also part of the woke movement of Cracker Barrel because they're moving away from everything they used to stand for and are I'm not saying it.
All right, next story.
All right. Climate change.
Ed's just saying some people are saying. That's all Ed's saying.
I was about to go with my poor Trump imitation.
The Associated Press reports that the climate change folks say it's not good for the climate for you to own a dog.
Come again?
Do not own a dog if you are truly
a DAWG Parrish.
Well,
what you're saying?
Well, no, not that kind of dog. They get owned by a lot of people.
Okay, well, unless you're Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah, not those dogs.
It's that time of the year for college football.
Mississippi State dogs.
But only a fourth of our audience got that. We just lost.
Well, no, a lot of Southerners do. They say dog. Phonetically, they say it D-A-W-G.
Well, they actually will write it out that way, too.
Yeah, that happens. So let me ask you this. So the climate, who are these climate change people that are anti-canine?
Well, they're trying to help you understand the best things to do.
For the climate?
For the climate. And they say a lot of people think they're making a real impact because they go to the LED lighting in the home or things like that. And those things really don't have much of an impact.
That's what these people are saying.
That's
but
right.
Getting rid of Fido does.
But and what they're saying here is that dogs are big meat eaters.
They are.
Meat is a significant contributor to climate change. I'm reading from the story now. That is because many of the farm animals will become food, release methane, a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change.
Yeah, we know what it is.
Okay. All right, and beef is especially impactful because not only do you get the effects of the beef, but you've also cut down a lot of trees to use the land to raise the cattle. So
well, these dogs are just causing climate catastrophe. Well, Tim, I got to challenge you right here now. Make your stand. You've got a dog.
I got a dog
that you didn't initially want, but is now a beloved.
Climate can burn because I ain't getting rid of my dog. So sorry. Next topic. Well, you got more than I do.
No, not anymore.
Oh,
we've run out of dogs. They've all died.
You and Diane used to be like rescuers.
No, not me and Diane. Diane was a rescuer. I just paid for it. Yeah. But now she's getting to the age where she says, I don't want to start over with little puppies and stuff. Right. But listen, these folks here, these climate people, if you were to ask them, maybe not on a talk show, but privately, maybe sitting at woke Cracker Barrel. I'm just kidding, folks, about the woke part. I have no idea. But some people say, yeah. But if you sat down with these climate people, I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts. They would say, get rid of your dogs, stop eating meat, stop cutting down trees. And if you gave them the power to do it, they'd try to force you.
And also, too, they are also a fraction of a fraction of the fraction of people that believe that too.
Yes,
they have a pretty big influence.
Yeah.
Next story.
Yeah, I will say that comes from a report from the National Academy of Sciences.
Well, there you go.
Let me just add one quick thing, okay? Because I know Tim's already tired of this story, but a solution could be going to your local Chinese restaurant, in which case you.
Wait. I'm gonna have to save you right here. I think you probably need to stop.
All right,
I'll there.
Stop.
Huh?
All right. 101 ways to walk your dog.
Keep going.
That's wrong. And Americans who don't know about it don't need to know.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You're listening to today's issues on AFR. Tim, Ed, Wesley, and Parrish. We got about 5 minutes. What else you got, Parrish?
Yeah, I really feel like this should be Fred Jackson's story here.
Okay.
But we have a story about a Spirit Airlines plane that
spiritual story
allegedly flew into the hurricane. not away from the hurricane.
Not as a hurricane.
This is a serious. This was in Newsweek, right?
This was in Newsweek.
Allegedly, what happened here now?
Okay, a Spirit airline plane appears to have flown through Hurricane Aaron this week when the hurricane was a Category 4 storm with winds over 100 miles an hour.
Where was it going? From where to where? Do you know?
It's going to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
It's on its way to Puerto Rico, and apparently there are conflicting reports. They're basing this on social media accounts, and one says they did, one says that they didn't. But what to know here, the flight path shared on social media by Flight Radar 24, that's somebody's handle, a live flight tracker, showed a plane flying through the storm.
Like accidentally? They flew through the hurricane?
Well, we don't know, because the comment from Spirit Airlines doesn't address the actual flight itself. They just talk about their commitment to safety. Safety is always our top priority. In this case, our pilots followed procedures.
And flew into a tornado.
Hurricane.
Yep.
We don't want to be sued by Spirit Airlines here. So
I would just say this, that when you work in the public relations department for big companies like this, and they say, okay, here's what social media is saying, write us something that makes us look good.
Yes.
I mean, you got no choice. Hey, safety is our first concern. Okay. Well, that doesn't really help us with
it seems like the people on that flight would have been commenting after the flight. How you
would think,
ma'am?
If they
seems like unusual turbulence.
Right.
Turbulence.
Okay. Now, a professor from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, says this can be done. Okay. He tells Newsweek flying through a hurricane at altitude is not particularly hazardous if you are above the tops of the clouds and the turbulent layer.
You just don't tell people that.
Yeah. Is that a challenge?
All right, people, when we get off the ground, get up in there, we're going to be going through a hurricane.
But we will be above the turbulent layer.
Kind of like you need to be in your life. You need to be above the turbulent layer. I remember flying back from Europe to the U.S. one time. This is 25 years ago. And we flew over a hurricane. So we were, 40,000 feet in the air. But we flew over, you could see the hurricane below.
Oh,
the
wow.
eye wall and everything like that. Yeah, it was pretty.
Sounds.
Well, it may be in the same. It may have been the same thing that happened here.
Yeah.
The professor goes on to comment: the winds are not a problem at altitude, and it is common for aircraft to fly in high winds aloft in the jet stream.
Right. I just think you put on a good movie though. To distract people the best you can.
Yes, you don't want to tell them, hey, guess what?
No,
we're going. We didn't go around the hurricane. We went over
through it.
You play one of those airplane movies from the 70s?
Yeah. All right.
We need to tell folks about Trivia Friday tomorrow.
You want to break the news to them?
Well, we're going to have a best of, folks, because basically there's no one here going to be in the office to do the show.
I was coming in, but nobody else is here. JJ's in Israel. You got something going on.
I have a doctor's appointment that I cannot change.
And then Bert is out.
Kendra can't do it.
So anyway, we are going to play a best of for our trivia show tomorrow.
No, it'll be fantastic. You want to tune in and listen.
Yeah, we're going to go above the turbulence with the replay.
Yeah.
Tomorrow of our best of.
You won't be able to call in. That's important.
So a week from tomorrow, we'll be back with live trivia.
Live, baby.
Live trivia.
We'll be live.
Have a great afternoon, everybody. Keep listening to AFR. Thank you.